it was the biggest exercise, and I think Clark was the biggest USAF base outside of the US at the time, and so Cape Thunder was the red flag equivalent for the Pacific, and compared to red flag, they're actually bigger missions. I think we had 70 aircraft missions when I was there, and again, I'd only just come out of training and was been in the squadron less than 1 month, and we did a workup, given the magic tick saying you're mission ready, and we went off there to the Philippines. I'm going to tell you what, for the first week I really did. The learning curve was fairly steep. It was from maybe 2 ships, not really that much opposition into 70 aircraft missions. I was either number 2 or number 4 all the time, and I had some pretty good leads. But I learned in the first week, the wingman's job was just to be there, and certainly by week 2, I was there, and never let go of the. But I had some pretty good crew members. I had one of my navs was he'd done an exchange on the Buccaneer, and we were flying around the mountains. I remember just ducking in through these storms, and my lead, someone who's been mentioned on this on your interviews before, but I was hanging off his wing. We were ducking, weaving, and TC was he said, "Mickey, I've got the rocks," and I just let him do that, and I just flew in formation. We're down at like 500 knots at 150, 200 feet, trying to get through this weather, big storms, and at the end, I was still there. So,
it's good to know. So how many nations were actually, took part in the exercise?
Well, I think it was just the US and us on that one, but we had we had F-18s, and it was a bit of a mix because they were coming up to doing their fighter combat instructor course, I think, and so there were guys from all our F-18 squadrons, and one squadron we had C-130 and had F-15s and F-16s that had come down from Okinawa. I think the F-4Gs may have been doing it as well, the Wild Weasels that were based there at Clark, and there were some Marines F-18s over at Subic Bay and Cubey Point flying out of there, and I think then some AWACS and various other aircraft, standards and tankers and support aircraft out there as well. But they ended up being quite big pushes. We'd all go up to the north, form the wall, and it was a big guerrilla press on south, try and get through the fighter opposition, and then into the target in Crow Valley, which had the ranges were all set up with like airfields and surface-to-air missile sites. They had Smoky Sams that fired at you, and anti-aircraft artillery, like Smoky AAA that fired at you as well. All the radar, we get all our electronic warning systems would be chirping away at you. So we were able to use all that. The aim was to get on the target and drop your bombs and then get out.
Yeah.
And fight your way back north again through the air defence shield again.
Yeah.
So probably I can't remember exactly now, but may have got through unscathed a couple of times. But the point was to mix it up and to push through all the fighters and then get through all the ground defences as well, and then get through the fighters again on the second half. So it was there to mix it up and learn how to be defensive as well as get your attacks in as well.
And was it similar to Red Flag, where it was red air, blue air? Did you just play red air all the time, or blue air, or did you mix it up?
We were always red air. We were always attacking. But, well, that was our job. So
yeah.
I think the fighters did switch around a bit there, just like they did at Red Flag.
And did the RAAF work similarly to the US Air Force? Was there like many commonalities there, how you worked?
Yes, we did try and be, as similar as you could be, because we did a lot of exercises, over the years, with units from the USAF particularly. But on those ones, they'd come to Australia and we'd fly with them as well. Within the fast jet world in Australia, though, we'd all had common training, so we actually had quite good interoperability. I mean, there was one exercise where my wingman, I was mission commander, and that my wingman had broken down, and one of the 4-ship of Hornets had broken, so I joined in as number 4, and it was with guys that I've been flying with for years, and we knew all the all the no-com procedures as far as our signals, and I was just filled in as a number 4 in a 4-ship, except the other 3 were F-18s.
And how old were you at this point when you were going to Cape Thunder?
21.
You're 21 still. Oh my God, Jesus Christ! I can't even remember what I was doing at 21.
I had a
Certainly not that.
21st. Yeah, my 21st, from 21 to 22, I sort of did a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And was that your first experience? I'm guessing they had the big debriefs at the end at Cape Thunder. Yeah,
they did. It was all the video debriefs, and it was Clark to Cubey and Cubey to Clark, and they'd get everybody's bomb plots and work out who shot who, and it didn't have the ACMI pods that Red Flag did, but it was pretty good, and you got to see videos of the surface to air missiles and the AAA shooting at you, and they could see whether you were applying any countermeasures and whether the chaff and flares were working, whether it was pulling them off. I had another little story there. I was flying with someone this great guy. He's actually one of the El Dorado Canyon navs, and he was on exchange, and we rolled into the target, and we came into the valley, 10-degree dive, and I'd had the terrain following radar in a mode where it gives you air-to-ground ranging and try and improve the accuracy of the bomb site. And I rolled in, and the site just disappeared up out of view, and I just had nothing. And now I had 6 high drags on. And the problem with the high drags, and while they were practice bombs only, they had a 550 knot speed limit on them. So I know everybody's going to be running out on the number. It's not. So I'm in the dive on the target, and I think it was the airfield. I've got no sight. Well, the pedo probe sticks out in front, and I sort of took a guess, and luckily the high drag, so you can get pretty close, and I just punched all those six off, pulled up, escaped with the rest of the guys, and then I sweated for the next probably hour or so afterwards to find out what had happened. And it was a big relief when they came back, and there's a plot going straight through the target.
So yeah, how long did Cape Thunder last?
We were there for 3 weeks, so I had a few days of famil flying and then 2 weeks of the exercise. Probably flying about 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh God! Yeah. And was there any downtime in that?
Just the usual. On the weekends, we had some time off. Interesting. The first Friday night, in fact, might have been the first night we were there. We went out for dinner off the base. We had a function on the next weekend, and unfortunately, the New People's Army they shot someone in Subic, an American serviceman then, and so we were confined to base, and the ground crew were staying in hotels off base, and we were restricted there. The next weekend, we went to took a C-130. One of our guys or our crews flew us all there to Subic and Cubey Point, where we had the weekend there, water skiing and carrying on. May have been the world's biggest party since Vietnam, according to the waiters. But
I mean, as a 21-year-old, I mean, that must have been incredible. Flying the F-111 and, oh, God, you lucky man.